Today is Friday, September 21st, 2012, and I'm here at the Ventura Veterans Home in Ventura, California, speaking to Mary Elizabeth Paine Hazelworth about her experiences during World War II. Mary is 92 years young, as her birthday is May 11th, 1920. I'm Elizabeth Lee, and I'll be interviewing Mary on behalf of the Conejo Valley National Society Daughters of the American Revolution for the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress. Ed Lynch from Advanta Videography will be filming. Mary enlisted in the U.S. Marines on 23rd of February 1943, achieving the rank of Staff Sergeant in Company 3211. For her service, she received the Ruptured Duck, the American Campaign Medal, the World War II Medal, and the U.S. Marine Corps Medal. She has retained them along with her jacket. Well, let's talk a little bit first about your childhood, like where you grew up and if you had brothers and sisters.
Okay, I was born in Santa Rosa, California, and I lived there till I was 13, and then we moved to Venice. Okay?
Venice, California.
Yes. I have a sister, I had a sister that was 18 months younger than myself. Then when I was 11 years later, I had a brother, Kenny, and then a sister 3 years later, Lorraine, and then a brother 18 months younger, Bobby.
So 3 girls and 2 boys, right?
Yes. And I left home when they were little. My sister and I left home and went to San Francisco, and I call that my hometown.
Okay.
And my father was in construction, and he was also, he had a brother, Uncle Fred, that lived in Sausalito, and there was a little train, the Great Northwestern Pacific. Uncle Fred was the engineer. My father was the conductor and the brakeman.
Oh.
And it went from Sausalito to Willits, California, and back. And then he went into heavy construction, road construction.
Your father?
Yes. But then when I was 22, I joined the Marine Corps in San Francisco.
Now, were any of your brothers and sisters also in the Marines?
No, but my oldest brother was in the Coast Guard, and the other one was in the Navy.
Where did you enlist?
In San Francisco.
Okay, and why did you want to join?
Because there was a big issue on the 5 Sullivan brothers that were on the USS Juno, and the Japanese sunk it over in the South Pacific. And I was unhappy with that, and my sister had married, and I'd moved out, so to give her husband a place to live, of course. And I just was by myself, and I decided I need to do something.
Yeah, do something about
helping my country.
I have this picture. These are the Sullivan brothers. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have never seen that.
Let's show that for the camera. These are the guys you were talking about, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
I understand that was a huge issue at the time.
It certainly was.
How'd you learn about it?
Well, it was all over the news, all over the news.
And what did you feel when you read about it?
I was heartsick.
And
I knew I had to do something. So
what kind of thing did you want to do? What did you think you were going to?
I wanted to join something, and we didn't have a recruiting office in San Francisco, so the Navy tried to recruit me. And I said no. So he finally gave up, and I joined the Marines.
And you're a writer, and you have something very interesting to say about what happened in the recruitment process. So
yes.
You want to read that to us?
Well, I was...
Or you can talk about it.
I only weighed 107, and the weight to go in was 110. So he deep-sixed it. I started to cry. So he reached down and got it, put it over here, and he says, you go out and eat everything sweet that you can in San Francisco, and come back on Monday and be sure you see me. So I weighed 109, and he took me. And if anybody would have offered me anything sweet, I'm sure I would have thrown up.
What did you eat? What kinds of
I ate ice cream, I ate pastries, I ate everything that... Good thing I have a sweet tooth.
And when you came back on Monday,
Yeah.
you made the weight?
I made the weight at 109. So 1 pound different didn't
And-
make it...
Yeah, so they didn't care about that.
Yeah.
Did they weigh you periodically while you were in the service? Did you have to get weighed?
No, no.
Once you're in, they don't care what you weigh.
Well, some, but not me. I've always been skinny.
How did your family feel about your enlisting?
Well, I'm glad they were 500 miles away. My mother, I told my sister that I had joined. She says, "Why did you do that? You better call Mom." So I called Mom. She says, "Why did you do that? Wait till your father hears this." That's when I was glad they were 500 miles away.
Yeah.
But then on leave one time, I went home and the big old Marine Corps flag in the front rooms, in the window, so
Oh,
I
of
knew
your
I was
house?
all right.
Of your house? So
Yeah.
they actually were very proud.
Oh, yes.
Did you keep in contact with them throughout? Let
My
them know?
mother, yes. I wrote letters to her and she saved some of them. And Linda has just read them. So,
And you talked about your time there. Did they censor those? I know they censored a lot of men in combat. Did they censor your mail?
no.
You don't think so?
I was in recruiting, and then I was tired of wearing the uniform every day, so I asked for a transfer. And Captain Cromwell, he was such a sweet little grandfather. He'd read it, put it in deep six. I'd say, "Why did you do that?" He says, "Mary, I need you here," because I was the outside sergeant in recruiting.
Yeah.
I set up the little desks where people could enlist and went to Ice Follies, any place, in stores and every place. So he was finally, he called me and he says, "Come over here. You have a transfer to Mojave Air Base." So I went to Mojave Air Base and typewriter again in the adjutant's office. So I was walking down the hall one day and I saw this wanted. And here was the thing for a gun air instructor. And I had no idea what gun air was. So I grabbed it off the board and went to the thing, and they took me and schooled me. And I taught fighter pilots how to shoot down their enemy. The wind, the position of the plane, the speed of the planes, the speed of the bullets, and speed of the planes, both of yours.
So tell me more about the schooling that they put you through in order to do that. Where was it? How many people?
Mojave.
Okay.
And it was on-the-job training.
Okay.
So I just sat in the room there, and when they came in, I went in with one of the instructors.
Okay, so
and-
an instructor helped you?
Yes.
And you just kind of listened to, kind of like an apprentice, sort of?
Yes, and then finally she turned it over to me. And from then on, I taught them.
How long did you train for?
I don't remember. It wasn't too long.
Okay.
I was pretty smart then.
Yeah, you're pretty smart still. How many pilots did you train a day?
Oh, I don't know how many. Maybe 5 or 6.
And
It was
for-
a day-long thing.
Was it for any particular type of equipment? I mean, any particular type of
It was in a Quonset hut, and it was a simulator.
Okay.
And the pilot sat up here with all of the instruments in the plane, and I had sat down here in a little seat, and I had control of the screen.
Okay.
And when the plane came on, I was talking to him about all of this stuff, and then when he would shoot it down, I'd take it away from him, and we'd do it again. I think these were hour lessons.
Okay. So they'd be shooting for about an hour, and then who put together I mean, how exactly did it come up on the screen, the planes and so forth? Were they films that somebody put together?
Yeah, it was a film that they had on there,
Okay.
a training film.
Okay.
And then when there was a little SNJ on the base, a little trainer, And when they had time off, they'd call me, and I'd go sit in the back seat instead of a sandbag. And I flew all over that Mojave Desert.
And were you ever airsick?
No,
And do you like flying?
I did. I'm through with it now.
Did you ever fly a plane yourself?
Oh, no.
Did you ever want to?
When I was young,
You did? You would have liked piloting?
yeah, but I wrote a poem about that. I can't remember right now why I decided not to.
What
I
was
think-
your poem about?
It was about things that I was going to do in my lifetime.
Okay. That would be interesting. Do you still have it?
Oh, yes, I have it.
What type of plane did you train these guys to shoot from? What?
I don't remember. It had the dashboard of a wartime plane, and I never went up there to look at it, so I can't tell you.
Were they Corsair pilots, maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the
That's their
plane of the
plane?
time, yes.
Okay, I have a picture of a Corsair, and
You
there's.
do?
Is this it? Is that the
Little
plane?
gull-wing Corsair, yes.
Is that it? Is that
That's
what they
it.
flew?
Yeah, but it was only a one-seater, so I never flew in
Yeah.
this.
And there's something unusual about what they had to do that you told me when we met on Monday about how they had to fire.
Oh, yes, the guns are in the wings,
Yeah.
right here, see?
Yeah.
So they had to aim the plane.
Show that for the. Yeah.
They had to aim the plane.
Is that more dangerous, do you think, than the other?
Oh, I don't know.
But
Probably is.
But all your pilots, they flew this.
They flew that little plane.
Yeah. And then the one you went out in, the training, was it like this?
No,
or-
it was a little trainer, two-seater.
And did it have the guns or all that?
No,
on it?
no. Strictly trainer.
I read that this particular plane, I think it was responsible for more enemy kills than.
Well, they were over in China with, I can't think of the general's name, but when the war started, the general and everybody left China and came over here. So these were experienced, most of them were experienced pilots.
Okay. And did you ever find out how your people you trained, how they did over there?
No,
Where they went or anything like that?
no,
Were you curious?
they were, not really. We were just training them and then they went on somewhere else, you know. So we never knew where they were. Everything was secretive at that time, you know. So we never knew
They
where they
just
went.
came in, took the class, and then.
Left.
Would they take multiple classes from you or just.
Just the gun air.
But I mean, would they come back multiple times
yes,
to train?
yes.
So they just didn't come in one time?
No, I don't remember how long the lessons were.
But you saw like one person would come back once a week or something like
Yes,
that?
something like that,
Okay.
yeah.
I wanted to back up just a little bit about, after you enlisted, where did they send you?
They sent me to Hunter College in New York, in the Bronx, I believe.
Okay.
And all the students or the girls were gone, and it was strictly a military place.
Was it only women?
Yes, only women.
No men?
No men.
And where did you live there? And just tell me about a typical day there, what they were training you for.
Well, as I remember, we had all kinds of contours of the land and recognition of planes and ships and such, and just regular military stuff. I don't remember. After all, you know how old I am.
Yeah, we're going to tell that on the tape, unfortunately for you. But we're not going to tell my age. How about that? Okay. And then, did you march?
Oh yes, we drilled, and our sergeant, I have to tell you about him. He came, here we are in civilian clothes, brand new to marching, and he comes out there and he, attention, and we stood up, you know, someone way over here and someone way over there, and so he says, line up. So we lined up, and he said, I don't know what I did to warrant a thing like this, a job like this, in other words. And so he says, I'm not supposed to swear at you, and I'm not supposed to hit you. He says, so we'll try. So here he gets us all together, and we're falling over each other, of course. So he turns around and he goes like this, and we knew exactly what he was saying. But he was so proud of us, and that was the first platoon of Marines that went to
Women?
Hunter College, yes.
So you graduated with the first ever.
Yes, yes. And we were so good at the marching that we were asked to march in the Easter Parade down Fifth Avenue.
Oh, really?
And we did. And he just marched along and smiled at everybody. He was so proud of us.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
Now, didn't you tell me at Hunter College, that was Navy, right?
It was a Navy training,
Okay.
yes.
And how did they treat the Marine women?
Well, it was all by the color of the shoes, what color shoe you had on. Blue, you were Navy. Brown, you were Marines. So in the chow line, we weren't served like this. We were served like this. So we wore a lot of food.
But were they nice to you otherwise?
Well, we didn't have much to do. They were in that side, we were on this side.
Okay. And you definitely wanted to be a Marine when you joined.
Oh, yes.
Why
yes.
was that again? Why did you really want the Marines as opposed to a different branch of service?
I don't know. I just wanted the Marines.
Did you?
Just wanted the Marines.
Think it was tougher?
Well, could be. But you know, take someone shy from a real strict German home. When you went out of high school, you walked home 2 miles, the door slammed. My sister and I never went to any of our class functions at all. And then to go in the Marines, that was quite an adjustment. But I made it.
You did. Did you enlisted when you were about 22, 23.
22
What
when
were
I
you
went
doing
in.
before that time?
I was working for the Department of Agri-Street as a steno.
Okay. And then you just learned about the guys that were
Yes.
Sullivan Brothers?
Sullivan Brothers.
And then you just
Yeah.
went on in.
And the time was then that if you left your employment to join the service, your job would be waiting for you when you come home. I went up there and he says, I have no vacancies. So
When you got out, they
Yeah,
didn't have the
yeah.
job for you?
No. So I don't know how many ran into that beside me, you know. But,
Oh.
That's all right. I went to work for, I think, the post office.
After you got
A
out?
7th and Mission, yes. And then I left there and went to work for the Emporium in the art department, tinting photos and
Oh,
stuff.
that was fun.
Yeah.
And you were saying, just to back up a little bit, that then after you were there, what, 3 months or so at Hunter College for training?
I don't think it was 3 months. I think it was just 60 days.
Okay. And then that's when they sent you to D.C.
Yes.
to be a recruiter. And you were setting up. Now, did you determine where you were going to set up to recruit?
No, they said the officer in the office did that.
Okay. And then they just sent you out to these various places. And what did you do? I mean, did you cart things around? Did they put together a table? I mean, how did it
There
work?
was a table with all kind of brochures on it. And I remember one time there was a spar, a wave, a whack, and myself in this department store. And in comes about 4 or 5 little privates with their hats like this. And we all looked at them, and I think it was the spar that said, "Go get him, Sarge." So I went up there, and here they are up there fixing their hats. I stood with my staff sergeant, and I says, "Square those covers. And if I see you around like that again, and I'm everywhere in this town, you're on report." And I turned around and went out. When they came out, I was straight ahead.
Was that fun?
I think that's the only time that I ever got after anybody.
Cover square.
Yes.
So you were in uniform at all. These are pictures of you at that time in your uniforms?
This one, yes.
Let's put that up. Let's see what we got here. Okay, tell me about this.
Well,
Is this what you wore and what
Yes.
you got on there?
This is my recruiting
outfit.
uniform. And at this time, only the officers wore the white.
Okay.
So,
So that's a big deal.
yeah, but how many times did I turn down a salute?
And this one?
And this one was, that's the regular one that I tried to get out of and wear my dungarees. This is the normal one.
Okay.
And when we first received these, they were the old serge, the scratchy,
Yeah.
like the men had. And then I don't know how long it was until they have the, put the uniforms on this material.
And this is actually
Yes,
the
this
real
is-
thing.
this
is
is
what
the
was
real
in this
thing.
photo. Let's if you wouldn't mind, hold that up. And let's talk about, those are your medals that you got.
Yes.
You've got a ruptured duck on there, and then if you
The
would mind
ruptured duck was
explaining-
given to people who were discharged after World War II. They don't give this anymore. And this was on, this little tiny one was my shirt, on my shirt. And they gave me this in boot camp. So I have the, I can't read them.
Yeah, you've got the U.S. Marine, you've got the American Campaign Medal, and the World War II Medal, the U.S. Marine Corps Medal, and the American Campaign Medal up
Yes,
there. I don't know
yes.
in which order. I
Yes.
can't see from here, but that's what you've got. And then you've got your insignia
Yeah.
on the side. So,
Well, when I was in, the rocker here, they call it a rocker, was a straight bar. And the straight bar at this time was administration. This was field. Anybody in the field wore these. So you could look at someone and by their chevron here and tell what area they were in.
so when you wore this as an officer,
Yeah, but I wasn't an officer.
you, as a staff sergeant, you would not. Why would you be wearing this one? Just
Because it was recruiting.
okay, and that qualifies for the officer.
Yes.
How many people came through the department stores? And here's another one.
Yes. This is what did they call them, Eileen? Eileen was a Marine also.
Yeah.
What did they call these? They weren't dungarees, that's Navy.
They're not dungarees. They're UTs, I guess, utilities.
Utilities, okay. Yeah, I wore this at Mojave.
Okay, so this is when you were the gun air instructor.
Yes, yes.
Anything particular about this that we should mention? What's this on your on
This?
top? Yeah, up
That-
there.
That's the little thing like this. Yeah, a little globe and anchor.
So, getting back to the recruiting, I mean, what did you do when they came up to the table? What did you say? Did you
Well,
call people over? Did you just
There
wait?
was, for example, I was sitting out at the desk, and these little high heels came in. And I knew they didn't stop at the Navy, so they were after me. So they said, "We want to join." And I don't think even they were old enough to join. So I said, why? Because if we like the hat, if it looks good on us, she said, "We'll join." So I said, "Come with me." So we had a room there, and I put them in there and closed the door. And I said, "So nobody in this office is going to lend you a hat to begin with, a cover. So I said, "If you join the Marines, there's a lot of study, there's a lot of DIs after you, there's a lot of this and that. Do you really want to come in here?" Silence. So ever so often they'd look at each other. So one finally spoke up and said, "We'll think about it." So they got up and those high heels went out faster than they came in.
Did you just recruit women, or you recruited men?
Oh, no. Well, there were men there too to recruit the men,
Okay,
but we strictly recruited the women.
okay.
And then one day I was sitting there and here comes, I said, "Break time, somebody else come over here," so I got up and left.
But did you actually end up enlisting some women in the military?
Oh, definitely, yes. And there was one little girl, she was from Puerto Rico, and I don't think we had adopted them yet, so to speak. And we swore her in and everything. And when headquarters found out that she wasn't a citizen, we had to discharge her.
Aw.
And that little girl cried and cried.
Aw.
So that was a sad thing.
Did a lot of people, was there a lot of female interest in the military at that time?
Yes, there was. When I would take a trainload of girls, of recruits, down to Camp Lejeune, we'd have 3 cars, 3 with the bunks in them, you know. We'd leave about 9 o'clock at night, and we'd stop in Richmond, and one time the people of Richmond came and they brought sandwiches and Cokes and sweets and poked them through the window, you know, at all the girls. I thought that was real nice.
That is sweet.
And we'd take them down there, and then we'd stay 3 days at Lejeune. And then when we came home, we didn't have reservations, so we sat between the cars, and the old coal engine, when we were home, took our
Covers.
covers off, and the coal would fall out of them, all over us.
So returning, you had to sit in
Yeah,
between the cars?
in between the cars on our luggage, from North Carolina to Washington, D.C.
Oh my gosh.
I never understood that.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I don't either.
Did they do that with the male recruits?
Oh, I don't know. I never took any male recruits.
Yeah. So you recruited them, and then were you responsible for the people that you recruited then? Is that how that worked, or?
Yes, they were notified. Now, like myself, I enlisted on February the 23rd in 1943. Okay, on March 19, I received my orders. So it was about a month in there that they waited.
Okay. So when a person enlisted through you, then did you later take that person to Camp Lejeune?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, so-
I wasn't the only recruiter. There were 2 sergeants. Christine Montagna was the inside one. She did all the office work.
Okay.
But I was outside. I did all
Meaning
the
the
outwork.
public.
I dealt with the public.
And then, are these the orders for taking?
Yes, one of them is.
Yeah, which one is that?
This is,
one, I
it's
think.
that one. This is
Yeah.
a transfer.
So what is that? Let's show this. What exactly is this?
This is, it's travel orders.
Okay.
Special temporary duty. And then it has references and all that.
And that's what you received, and that's how you knew that you were going to be taking these people to Camp
yes,
Lejeune?
These were my orders. And I had some others under me. It doesn't say. But I was in charge of the whole thing.
So how did that work? When they came to the table and you counseled them about, enlisting, and then they enlisted, that they then come back at a later date and have their physical?
Either that or was determined like I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
At that time?
Yeah.
And you had them sit down and fill out forms with you?
Oh, yes, and they had to go through yeah. Let's see, physical, emotional, and intelligence exams were given. So we all went through those.
Okay. But you didn't administer those? That
No,
somebody
no,
else
no,
did
no.
that.
There was a doctor that took care of all of that.
Did they give you quotas for how many, were you responsible,
Yes,
like in a
yes.
sales job, for bringing in?
Yes, when I finished my quota, I was sent to headquarters in the filing department, and I filed paperwork. So,
Was it a daily quota?
I don't
Just
remember.
kind of like a total, and then you just hit that, and then you're out, right?
Yeah, yes. So I went up there. I did pretty well recruiting.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised they took you out of there.
well, it was about 6 months I fought dear old captain. And then one day he pulled it out and said, "Come here," and that was in March.
Yeah.
I transferred in March.
Okay.
And when did I start this?
The gun air?
No, the transfer. February 44 is when I received it. I must have waited 2 or 3 months. And every Monday was transfer date, so every Monday it went in the trash can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you had to wait 3 months before you went out to Mojave.
yeah, it's about that.
Which part of those, which aspect of that job did you like the best? I mean, was there a favorite?
Meeting the people and going out every day and not having to sit in the office and talking to people.
Did you like being a recruiter more or being a gun air instructor more?
Oh, Mojave.
You like Mojave the
Oh,
best?
yes.
How come?
Well, I got to wear these
Yeah.
and pilots, and it was interesting. Much interesting than going sitting behind a table and talking to people.
Yeah.
So,
Is that where you met your? Is
my
Mojave?
dream Marine,
Yeah.
yes, their father.
Yeah. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Well, I was sitting at the table one day, and I had no students, and this troop came in to go to Sergeant Watson's. He was the electrical teacher, and somebody fell in the door. And I looked up, and here's this big hulk standing up, and they went on through, and they all came out to sharpen their pencils. And I found out later that my husband told me that he told the bunch that this was the girl he was going to marry. So, oh, he was so handsome, wasn't he, girls? He was so handsome.
That's why we're so good at it.
That's right. Real good-looking family. Huh?
Yes, and he was a sweetheart,
Yeah.
very handsome. He kind of had auburn hair that changed dark, and Linda came out with red hair, but that fell out, and she was blonde like I was.
In general, and I don't know how much you want to address this, but how do you feel that women were treated in the military at that time?
At that time, the Marines did not accept us, and we were treated pretty bad. So,
Do you want to elaborate at all about that? No? Okay.
No.
What about you're going to town and
yeah,
going to...
Do you think I
dances
should
and
tell-
That's up to you, but
It's totally up to you.
it's part of what happened.
well, they thought we were there to service them, and that was the main problem.
Okay. But by your own, but I think, didn't you tell me that the Marines treated you as a fellow Marine?
The NPs.
Later,
The
The
MPs.
NPs that
Oh.
saved you on the...
yes,
Oh.
yes, because we were walking, Mary Applegate and I were walking down the street, and these 2 Army officers came up and grabbed her by this arm and me by this arm. We have a hotel up here. And we stopped dead still. Around the corner came 2 great big U.S. Marine MPs. And Mary was shaking. She was just shaking. And I said, "Look behind you, sir." "Oh, well, it's very nice to meet you girls, very nice." And they walked on. And the Marines came up and said, "Did you have a problem?" We said, "Yes, we did." And so they just said, "You're okay now?" And we said, "Yes." So we went on. But that happened a lot.
To women in
Yeah.
the service?
Yes, it was rough for us. Really was. They didn't want women in their macho organization.
Even if they were helping them?
Well, when I went into the recruiting office, there was a little ceremony. And I walked up to this Marine, as I was directed to do so. And he looked up at me and he says, "Who in hell told you I wanted to go to war?" And that just astounded me.
So the Marines really impacted your life.
Oh, they gave me.
Yeah.
They brought me from this little shy German gal who, if I'd have stayed home, I'd probably married a German farmer and had multi-kids, but they gave me. They really did. I went in very shy, but I came out thunderous.
And you enjoyed your time?
Oh, yes.
Would you do it again?
Yes, definitely.
I think you should tell them about the dances and the USO that you went to.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, at Mojave, in Lancaster, there was a USO, but nothing in Mojave. So we'd stand out there, a bunch of us, go like this, and always somebody picked us up and took us to Lancaster to the USO. And if we didn't have a ride home, there was always a bunch of Marines that would give us a ride. And it was good. I mean, we enjoyed it very much. I know I jitterbugged.
Did you?
Oh, did I? I was pretty good.
Yeah, was it a big band era? Did they have that?
Oh, Kay Kaiser came to Mojave, and he went to visit all the places, and he came into the gun air, and I showed him around. I was the only one on duty. I showed him around. So when I go to the mess hall, here he is with the cook's hat on and a big spoon, and he's dishing out the people.
Really?
He sees me, he takes off his hat, lays it on there, comes and gets me by the arm, puts me behind the food, puts the hat on me, and gives me the thing and says, go to work. So he stands there and he says, no, you're not doing good. He says, give me that stuff. And he put me back in line.
That's really funny.
He was good. He was very good.
Any other fun stories? And now this is what your daughter's looking at here is.
That is my life in the military.
Okay. So tell us about what you wrote here. Why did you write this? What do you have?
Well, I went down to the Marine Corps recruiting office in Medford, Oregon, and I borrowed the Marine Corps manual over the weekend, and I typed the whole thing. So that's in there, and that's in there. So I'm just going to make one book of the military, and then I'll put the other stuff in another book. So that'll make 4 books that I have going.
Okay, so when you talk about this book that you're going to do, what are you going to do with that book? Is it for your family, or are you going to
It's
publish?
just in the front of it says, for my family, Eileen and Linda. I don't publish it, but I write poetry, I write this and that, I write short stories, kids, long stories, and I go through history, like Shakespeare, what he wrote, what he said. They're just all one sentences. All the biggies in history, I have that in there, and what they have said.
But Jack Dempsey.
Oh, Jack Dempsey. After the parade, we were turned loose to see New York. And Mary and I were walking down Fifth Avenue, and here's Jack Dempsey's restaurant. So we went in there. We stopped at the little picture thing where you put a quarter in, you got 5 pictures.
Okay.
And we went in there and sat down, and here comes Mr. Dempsey. And he sat down, and he says, what branch of the service are you? Nobody knew what we were. So we said we were the Marine Corps. So he bought us lunch, and he autographed one of those pictures for my father because he was his idol. And he talked to us for quite a while, bought us lunch.
So just for the tape, because people may be watching this who don't know who Jack Dempsey is.
Oh, Jack Dempsey was a prize fighter, and that's all I know. I
Yeah.
don't follow sports.
And he was nice.
Oh, he was very nice, very handsome, very tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like an exciting life.
Oh, yes.
Did you meet any other interesting people along the way?
I don't think so.
No, what story do you want her to tell in that?
Oh, it's about her going to a dance, and the girls she was with were wallflowers, but she kept getting asked to dance. And then there's something here, with a name like Mary, I never had a nickname. When asked by fellow Marines, I conjured up the name of Tippy and went by that name through my military life. Where that name came from, I to this day do not know. Everyone was introducing themselves, but call me, I did the same. This event took place on a train. I was just one of the gang now, and I patted myself on the back. And then she goes to tell how in here, she had one of the airplanes named after her. They named the
yes.
airplane.
Okay,
Tippy.
this is kind of interesting. Let's put this on the tape.
Yeah.
Okay, so what airplane? Who named it after you? What
the
was
Army-
the name? Tippy?
Tippy.
Yeah, well, with Mary, the name of Mary, what kind of a?
Well, Mary's a nice name. It's
Yeah,
very
but
biblical.
you don't have a nickname.
No.
And all these people, all of the recruits in that first platoon of Marines were from San Francisco,
Right.
except 3 we picked up in Denver.
Okay.
That was the first platoon. And so I wanted to join the crowd. So when it came around to me, I says, "Oh, just call me Tippy." I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, you
but
have
it
no
just-
idea where Tippy came from?
I
Like
have
Tippy
no
Canoe
idea
and-
where Tippy came from. But when I was discharged, the sergeant who discharged me says, "Tippy, I don't know your first name." "What is your first name?" So I went by that all
You
through.
like Tippy, though,
Oh,
evidently.
yes.
There was a Tippy Hedren. I don't know if she was of that era. I think she's a little later. She was the
She's a
one
little
in the
later,
Alfred
yeah, the
Hitchcock
birds.
movies. The
Oh,
birds.
yes, I remember. But I don't know where Tippy came from. I
And tell
couldn't
us about
you.
the plane. You had a plane.
Oh, the Army base was fogged in and they couldn't land there, so they came over to Mojave and landed. And I had lunch with this sergeant, and so he sent me a picture. We corresponded a little. He sent me a picture with the name Tippy on it, on the plane.
So he put Tippy on his.
He put Tippy
Plane?
on the plane, yes.
You weren't in one of those little pinup girl things on the plane.
I don't think so. I don't. It wasn't in the picture. But he went overseas. I never heard from him again.
Oh, so you must have made quite an impact on that fellow.
Yeah, I can't even remember his name.
Oh my gosh.
I know when I was in Washington, I took my ice skates with me,
Yeah.
and I would skate on the pond there between the Washington
Oh,
and
by
Lincoln.
the monument, that big log.
Yeah, that big pond.
And tell them about the time you jumped off because the guy said there you saw a crack in it.
Oh, yes. There was an Army officer with his wife and a little kid, maybe about 2, 3 years old, on a little sled. And the ice was going like this, cracking, and I was like this trying to get off before I fell in. And the officer, I said, "You better get off, that's cracking." He says, "Sergeant, it freezes as soon as it splits." So I got back on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So did a lot of people skate there? A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
military?
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know
That's what you
whatever-
did in your free time?
Oh, yeah.
Part of
Time
that?
off, yeah. I don't know what happened to my skates. I can't remember.
Where did you live when you were in D.C.?
In D.C., let's see, I lived at Arlington Farms, which Eileen and I went to a reunion one time, and I asked the man how long Arlington Farms had been gone. And he said he'd been there 15 years, but he didn't remember them being there. Isn't that right,
What's
Eileen?
Arlington Farms?
It was government housing for girls and women who came up to work for the government.
Okay.
Single girls. And it was mostly Southern girls. I was sitting hemming my summer uniform one time, sitting on a big hassock out there in front of the mirror. And this little girl come by and she says, "Oh, did you build that?" I said, "No, I'm just taking the hem up."
Yeah, that'd be quite a.
Oh, yes. Well, it was a
That's the
summer
one.
uniform.
At home in San Francisco when there were blackout orders forced,
Oh,
when you,
yeah.
yeah.
When we went to Washington, they had or in San Francisco, if the whistle blew, take cover. That's,
Siren blew.
huh?
The siren.
Yeah, the siren, that's invasion. So when this thing blew in New York, we from San Francisco gathered a blanket and ran down to the second floor and sat there. And a wave officer come by and she says, "What are you doing?" And one of us had the nerve to say, "Well, the siren, that's time to take shelter." She says, "That's the noon whistle." So we all got up and went back to the room, and we exploded when we got there.
You told me another funny story about when you got back from your classes at Hunter College there, after they taught you about contours.
Oh, yes. Yes, at night after the lights went out at 10 o'clock, we discussed our contours.
What time did you have to start your day there?
I think it was 6:30.
In the morning?
Yeah. And one time, I developed a fever. I don't know why. They sent me back, and the nurse came and gave me a sleeping pill. So I was asleep when the rest of them left, and pinned on my sheet was a note that says, "When you wake up, come to class." I looked around, there wasn't another person in there, so I turned over and went back to sleep.
You didn't get in trouble?
Well, I hope not today, I won't. No, I didn't get in trouble. They didn't know that I had awakened.
Any other fun story you want her to include? These stories, by the way, are coming from your manuscript.
Yes.
When are you going to put it all together and publish it?
I'm not going to publish it.
I mean, when are you going to put the whole book together?
As soon as I can get something to type the rest of it. My typewriter is broken,
Okay.
so that I have an IBM Selectric. And the correction tape comes up with the tape, and it erases everything I type.
It's
How about your trips down the river, boats on the Potomac?
Oh,
The
yes.
barbecues
Yeah.
and the Quantico?
We were invited to go on a ship down the Potomac, and there was a line of men and a line of women, and that was your date for the night. And I had a very shy American Indian boy,
uh-huh.
and we had a good time, but I never saw him again. So he was very shy. So was I.
So when you were in D.C., you had these are the kinds of things you did at the end of the day or on leave or?
Well, I remember one time it was so hot, I was at the place I lived, and I had the window open, laying there bare on my bed. All of a sudden I felt I was drowning. I was dreaming I was drowning. I woke up, a rainstorm had come in and I was wringing wet, and so was my bed.
This is in D.C.?
Yeah, in D.C.
Any other fun stuff you want to tell for that?
Oh, in Mojave one year, it might have been 44, it snowed. And it was a good snow because we were making the snowmen, and the girls from the east just went wild. And we were out there, well, what is this? It doesn't snow in Mojave.
Yes.
Yeah, but it snowed that winter.
I wonder if it snowed since.
I don't know. But we were out there throwing snowballs and having a good time.
So you had a lot of,
Can't find that when she went to the dances.
oh, okay.
I know we went to a dance one time in Mojave, and the commander was there, and all of a sudden her beer bottle was headed for his head, and he ducked and canceled the dance right then and there. So their father and I left.
Oh. Do you keep in contact with any of these?
I don't know, it's been so long ago.
Yeah, so you don't see any of your old, did you used to keep in contact with some of your old,
I used to write to Mary,
Mary Applegate? Is
yeah,
that the one
but
you're talking-
I think that was the only one.
Where was Mary from? Was she your roommate or your bunkmate? Or?
No, she was at the recruiting office.
Okay.
I don't remember, I think we had a little girl from Hawaii there. And I can't remember where Mary was from, East Coast somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
She was just working with you as a colleague.
yeah. I think there were 4 of us. There was Christine and Mary, myself, and the little one that I can't think of her name. And the little Hawaiian girl too, so there were 5 of us.
But I left Oakland, California on March 23, 1943 on a train along with other women recruits from San Francisco. Arrived in New York on March 29, 1943. It took us 5 blinking days to get to New York. And then I had not been out of
California before. I was glued to the window train. I was the first time I had seen icicles hanging from branches over streams. They were surely something out of a fairy tale. The train followed the stream for quite a ways. As I remember, I was absolutely enthralled with the mountains, such beauty across the prairies, nothing except an occasional farm, red barn, lonely house.
Yeah, I
That's pretty
remember.
poetic.
Yeah.
Were you scared?
No, I was anxious to get there. But that, when we were sitting on the train and in comes this Marine, his suitcase had all kinds of stickers of different places in the world. He had all kinds of hash marks. And the girls were talking to him, but I was in another seat quite a ways back, but I could hear what was all going on. And he was telling about his experiences and everything. And one day, the captain came up and said, "Mary, the FBI is here and wants to talk to you." And I thought, oh my God, what's my father done now? And this guy was a fake.
Oh, really?
He was an
He
imposter.
was impersonating a
Yeah,
Marine?
he was impersonating a real decorated Marine. And they wanted to know if I had talked to him and if I had heard where he was going or what his name was or anything. And I said, no, I didn't talk to him. I just listened, you know. And so,
But you would be able to identify him, right? I mean,
oh
at that
yes,
time?
yes, I would be able to. But I don't know if they ever found him or not.
What did they want to do? Do you know?
No, they didn't tell us. But when we exited the train, he was off too. And he was taking the girls' addresses. They were giving him their addresses,
Oh.
not this old girl.
Did you hear anything about what he was talking about to them?
Oh yes, I heard it all.
What was he talking about?
About his saving this Marine from this, and he got this medal was for that, and this one was for another one that he did a heroic job on, and he was telling all about it. I mean, just wondered he wasn't lopsided. He had so many medals on him.
And what was he doing on the train?
He was going home, I guess, or somewhere.
That's
I don't
what he
know.
said.
Yeah.
It was a train full of women.
Yes, he came into our train, our train.
I wonder where he got the uniform. All the medals.
Don't ask me, don't ask me. Oh, you can go into a store and buy the uniforms. In any military uniform place, you can go in and buy them. No problem.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I
Oh,
didn't know
yes.
that.
But where he got the decorations, I have no idea.
I wonder if there was a lot of that going on.
I don't know. I don't know. But he sure was a hero in all sense.
Boy,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Well, that was astounding to me because he sounded so real, you know.
It's a con man.
Yeah. My father had a temper, and that's why I thought, first of all, what has he done now?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't your dad, fortunately.
No, it wasn't my dad.
That was a relief. Anything else in there you think she ought to talk about? She probably ought to talk about it all.
She should have just read this. I mean, this is
I know.
incredible. Her the story is incredible. But I can't understand why I can't find that part about,
I don't remember it, honey.
Is the FBI guy in there? Did you write about that?
uh-huh.
Okay. Were there any other close calls that you had?
Oh, she talks here about carrying a cold cream jar in her purse.
Yes, we did. We did. We had a one of those purses that opened like this, you know, a spring opening.
Yeah.
And after we were taken by the arms and led into bars and other places, across fields and knocked down, we started putting a pound cold cream jar in our purse. Wound that around our wrist instead of putting it over our shoulder. And I whacked a couple of them. Yeah, we did that.
Did they give you self-defense training at all when you were
No, all we did was march. We did nothing else.
Okay.
We were just green little Marines going
Yeah,
in.
but no combat.
No combat.
Did you learn how to fire weapons?
No, nothing like that. We were the first ones, so we were teachers. We were teachers. And the girls went out to all kinds of jobs, mechanics to truck driving and everything, and I went into recruiting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
It might have been in one of your letters to graduates.
Okay.
I bet it was in one of the letters.
Is there anything else you want to add about your time, about military service, about?
well, I'm very happy with my military service, and I wish I could do it again. But by the time they enlisted women again in the Marines, I had those two. So they were, no, Eileen was pregnant, so they turned her out. But we went to a dinner one time, Eileen and I, and another
For the
convention.
tape, Eileen is your daughter.
Yes, and we sat across from this little gal, remember Eileen? And do you get the announcements? And she's in there, she was going to leave and start a family because her husband was a copter pilot too. And I read in there where she had twins, didn't she? She had twins, and she's still in. So they're accepting women with children, with the pregnancy, they don't put them out. So that's good.
Yeah,
She
things
was-
change, don't they?
She was so young, I couldn't believe that she was a copter pilot, you know?
When the war ended, World War II, did you have the opportunity to re-enlist?
No, we were all thrown out. We were reserves.
Okay,
Women's reserve.
okay. All right. Okay, so before we
Oh.
end, I would really like, since we've heard your daughters and they've been off the camera, I'd like you to introduce your family here.
Okay,
Yeah, the people
Okay.
that are here.
this is Eileen Sampson. She's a former Marine. This is Linda Long.
And they've been reading from this particular.
Yes.
we
This,
talked
I have
about-
written my childhood and military life, 1943, 1945. United States Marine Corps, Women's Reserve, World War II.
So this is what we've been reading from,
Yes,
yeah. Which
I'm
we
not
ma-
a former Marine, I'm still a Marine, I'm just not.
yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Shame on
sweetheart.
you.
Shame on me.
Shame on you. Once a
Everybody's
Marine,
still-
always a Marine.
Yes.
Okay, well, I just want to say on behalf of the Conejo Valley National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, and also for this country, thank you for your service, thank you for your service, and also thank you for
Trying.
thank you for wanting, for still waiting to do your part, and we know you would. And I just want to say thank you for what you did for women in the military.
Thank you.